Probably a tench, I think. No, it's tench, I think. Oh no, you're right. It's in bream, yeah. I don't know, I don't mind the old bream. They're just a bit slimy, that's it. Thoughts? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not carp fishing. It's quite a nice fish actually. Hi, I'm back at Earith, the lake I fished last week. Had a few bream last week, but I was really hoping for a tench. So I'm back here today with the same hope. In fact, I was tossing up between 3 lakes today, but this was the one that sort of offered the best chance of a tench, so I thought I'd come here. Very quiet. When I arrived there was no one else here, but a couple of other people have turned up since. At the moment it's very calm. We had a bit of a gale yesterday, but it's quite calm at the moment, but I think the wind will freshen a bit. But I've chosen a different spot, a spot I haven't fished before, and there's some sort of lilies in front of me, but not fully fledged lilies, and I'm going to fish just over the back of them, so I'm almost at rod top, not much further out than rod top, so that'll give me more control. The other thing is it's much deeper here, well, a good couple of feet deeper here than where I was fishing last time. So fingers crossed. I haven't got any maggots today, which was my fallback bait on the last occasion, although they had turned to chrysalis, but they did work. I've got bread today, I've got some sweet corn, I've got some luncheon meat, so before I started tackling up and doing all the other business, I put in half a dozen or so small bread pellets, so just to give them a taster. I haven't mixed up any ground bait, I may do that a bit later. So we'll see how we go. Another bright sunny day, which isn't always the best. We'll give it a go, as always, and fingers crossed we may tempt a tench today. So let's get going, shall we? Same gear as last week. My Hardy's Avon specimen. Got a bit of beef to it, just in case we get hooked into something significant. The good thing about this spot is, as I said, I'm not sure if they are lilies. They're a form of lily just in front of me here, but I'm going to fish just over the back of them. But I was just about to say, the good thing about this spot is that if I hook into a carp, we'll have a bit of open water to play with. Let's take that clicky noise off. As I say, I'm fishing literally just under my rod top. I've got to be a bit careful. I've got a tree to the left and a tree to the right, but not actually above me. So, but you can perhaps see it's a bit deeper than last week. I think there's 2 other people. Well, I say 2 other people on the lake. It's actually a couple of young lads on one side and a chap and his young son on this side. Looking at the tackle, I think they're both after carp, so we're going to be the only one, or I'm going to be the only one fishing for something else today, I think. I can feel that breeze starting to come up that they said was going to blow today. still tricky to get around. Where I like fishing, oh, that's a slight lift on the float then. I like fishing over where you can see that life belt. Oh, I missed that because I was talking. Yeah, where you can see that life belt ring on that pole over there. That's where I like fishing, but it's still very wet to get around there. Anyway, we've had a bite on bread, so that can't be bad. There's a goose or some form of duck sitting on a roof of a little shed over there. They're making a terrible racket. Right. Well, we got a bite. I brought some hemp as well for ground bait. I haven't put that in yet. Perhaps I'll put a bit of that in as well. It's twisted around me right top. There's trouble when you strike sometimes. There you go. Oh, that's a bit further out. Yeah, it's much deeper here than where I was last week. My line all tangled up now, which is not a good start. Oh dear, what a mess. Strange, that float's riding a bit higher in the water this time. So far it's a repeat of last week. I've had 3 or 4 lifts on the float on fairly small pieces of bread flake, but so far no contact. Strange. I've got some sweet corn with me and some luncheon meat. I'll perhaps break open the sweet corn in a little while if bread doesn't produce anything. As always, it's very peaceful. It's interesting, although the float's in very much the same position as it was with previous casts. It's actually sitting lower in the water, so I wonder if the bottom's a bit uneven there. I did actually reduce the depth I was fishing just by about 1 inch to see if that helped. As I say, I've had a couple of lifts since then, but really positive lifts. The float comes right up, but no contact. Now that float is running away. Yeah, we've hooked it that time. God, it's flying quite hard, whatever it is. Whoa. Oh, I don't think it's a bream. If it's a bream, it's really having a go. I'm trying to keep it away from the lilies. I don't think this is a bream somewhere. I think we got our first tench. It's only a small one, but it's a tench. Can't get on the landing there. Oh, that was stupid. I was feeling for the landing net handle and I missed it. Right, so there are tench down there, folks. Right, we have our target species, folks. Swallowed it down a bit. Let's find myself a disgorger. There we go. Right, there we go, in the sunshine. A nice tench to start us off. Right, I'll put him on the other side. This is a good thing about here. I'm fishing on like a little spur of land, so there's water both sides. So rather than disturbing the swim, I can put him back on the other side. There he goes. Slight disaster after getting that tench. Oh, I don't know what that was, just came flying out the water. Anyway, slight disaster, I trod on my float. Now it's a plastic bodied one, so if it starts sinking I'm going to have to change it, but I'll stick with it for now and see what happens. Yeah, I heard this funny noise as I sort of was stomping around and I thought, what was that? Well, it's still floating, so we'll stick with it. I haven't put any ground bait out, but what I did do is I made up a dozen or so little bread pellets and put them out there. I think I've got a spider on my rim of my hat. I can see it. There it is. Yeah, it was dropping down on my eye line. Let's put it down. Yeah, that was I just turned the GoPro off because nothing was happening, and no sooner I turned it off and the float started bobbing a bit, so I turned it back on, and hopefully you saw the float, and it sort of ran across. It was more of a sort of a movement across the water than a going under. But it became apparent quite quickly that it wasn't a bream. It didn't feel enormous, but it certainly had much more go to it than a bream. I think that was another tench. I started the video just as the float went away, but unfortunately the hook gave. Felt quite a reasonable fish. Oh well, let's hope that hasn't spooked everything. Yeah, that was a cracking bite. I just missed, I didn't miss it, I hooked the fish, but the float actually disappeared into the depths. It was none of this mucking about. But I may have been a bit late on the strike. It may have already been deciding it wasn't having it. Because the hook came away in seconds, but it felt it was pulling hard as another bite. Let's let it go, let us go this time. Let's see what happens. Maybe I should have struck. Suddenly getting bites down there. Perhaps I should have stuck. Right. Oh, come on. Right. Still, we're getting bites, folks. This is the main thing. I was throwing in a few extra bread pellets, and of course the ducks spotted it. Well, you've got some crusts here I could give them, I suppose. Trouble is, oh, there's a bite and I've missed it. Oh, God. Just went to get a little bit of bread to throw in and the float just vanished. Pay attention, pay attention. Right. Still, we're getting good bites now. They're really going away, no mucking about, so... Right, I'll sort myself out and I'll come back. Got a bit of a ripple on the water now, unfortunately. That's a bite, isn't it? Let's wait for it to go away properly. I'm going to have to change this float. It's a nuisance. I haven't got it on a clip link. I've got it on the line, so I'm going to have to re-tackle, basically. What a pain. Still floating, but it's not weathering very well against this this ripple. Let's put my rod down a bit lower. I think losing that fish earlier has spooked them a bit, unfortunately. Yeah, it's just lifted. It's always a good sign. But let's wait for something more to happen, shall we? Well, I've re-tackled, which was a right pain, but now we've got a float on that hasn't got a split in it and it isn't filling up with water. So back to normality. A lot more people have turned up. I always thought I arrived late for fishing, but I was the first one here today. There's a lot more have turned up since. I've put a few more pellets of bread out and there looks like the float's lifting. I'll wait for something more positive. I'm glad I came down here now. I'm on the end of a little, like an island, like a projection, and can't really get any further down without sitting right next to me. So hopefully no one's going to do that. That float's lifting and bobbing around, and two more ends having a battle. It's probably not done the fishing any good. Float lifting again. Perhaps I'll put a smaller shot on. Maybe that big shot's putting them off again. They're weird. Absolutely bloody weird. Right, we've hooked it this time. It's not a tench. That's why the bites were so finicky, I think. I don't know, I don't think it's a tench. Not sure what it is really. It's fighting hard. It's a bream. Little breamy. Looks like he's swallowed it, hasn't he? See, I think that may be a hybrid. Yeah, I think that's looking more roachy, isn't it? Let's put you over the net in case I drop you. There we go. Whoa, 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 you are fighting. God, it's difficult to hold you still. That's a roach, isn't it? It looks like it's got some bream in it though. This tinged black tinges on its fins. Certainly slimy like a bream. Trying a bit of luncheon meat, change of bait. The place is now chock-a-block with carp anglers. So much for a quiet start. I think I'm the only one here not fishing for carp. Yeah, that's what I miss about the rivers. Most of the time you're on your own. When you fish the lakes, there's always a lot of people. Oh, that was a really good bite. And that was on luncheon meat. Right, okay, we'll try again. I just took something that went off like a rocket, but that came back on the hook, a scale. So I think it was a carp, but it wasn't fairly hooked, obviously. So it must have just brushed against the line, but it shows they're down there. I've gone back on bread. It's a terrible racket at the moment. The guy's sort of not just behind me, the other side of the lake behind me, cutting the grass. It's turned out to be a very, it started off so peaceful. I was the only one here. And it's absolutely packed with people now, and lawnmower going all day. It's not really turned out the way I would like. I like a bit of peace and solitude. But there we go. Can't win them all. I had one good bite on luncheon meat earlier on, and then I didn't get another bite on it. It's weird. In fact, the bites have just almost stopped, to be honest. That could be a bite. Oh, how did I miss that? How did I miss that bite? I set up my second GoPro to sort of focus on the float, but unfortunately the wide angle lens on the GoPro didn't really give a very good image of it, so I'd have to think again, perhaps bring my camcorder out to try catching the float. Anyway, I gave it a try. Well, I've put a smaller shot on. I'm still getting the same sort of lift bite. But let's see if it develops a bit more with a smaller shot. Yeah. Came off again. Probably a tench, I think. No, it's tench, I think. Oh no, you're right. It's in bream, yeah. I don't know, I don't mind the old bream. They're just a bit slimy, that's it.
That's the only thing, isn't it?
Oops.
You don't want them when you carp fishing, but
Yeah.
want them if they're big.
Yeah, I'm not carp fishing. It's quite a nice fish actually.
They've got bigger over the years. I think they go up to about £7 now, yeah?
Yeah, it's not a bad fish. Oh. he just leapt out the net. I was getting up off the mat and well, that was all a bit chaotic, that bream. Yeah, I didn't have the video on when I hooked it, and then before I could get a chance to show it to you, it leapt out the landing net and ended up back in the water. Another bite missed on bread. I think I call it a day, to be honest. I'm getting these fast bites on bread I can't hit. Yeah, I think I'll call it a day, and it's all a bit too noisy here for me today, to be honest. Ah, well. I'm doing the sign off in the car today. It got really packed on the lake today. I fished this lake a number of times and it's always been very quiet, but today the world and his wife arrived, I tell you. Yeah, in the end, the bloke nearest to me was only a few feet away. It just got ridiculous, really. I sort of come here because I like quiet and fairly solitary places, but it weren't solitary today. Anyway, so I've come to the car to do the sign off rather than sort of sitting there with my camera talking while there's a bloke just sitting next to me, so to speak. It didn't really go a lot better than last week, to be honest. I managed to tench. I got the target species early on, not a very big one, but I managed to tench. Then I caught what really looked for all the world like a roach, quite a nice roach, but it obviously was a hybrid by the coloration on the fins. There was black tinging on the fin, so it wasn't a sort of thoroughbred roach. Then I'd had a lot of bites on bread that I couldn't hook, just like the last time. It was frustrating, really. And then I hooked into something, and I thought, well, this is good. It went tearing off, and it was only on for a few seconds, but brought back a large scale. So I'd obviously foul hooked a carp. Probably wouldn't have got it in even if I'd hooked it. I had lost a couple of fish earlier on as well. Not lost really. I hadn't hooked them well. They came off after a few seconds. I don't think they were particularly big. Probably bream. So. And then towards the last knockings, or my last knockings at least, I left at 3 o'clock. Yeah, towards the last knockings, I got quite a nice bream, but then had a bit of a calamity with that as I was sort of trying to get up off the mat with my sort of stiffness I've got in my body these days. The fish flipped and I couldn't react quickly enough, so it sort of flapped its way down the bank and back into the water. So it got back where it was meant to be, but all a bit embarrassing really. But anyway, so that's it. So yeah, yeah, a bit of a strange day, bit of a strange session, but thanks for watching, if you've watched it all, and thanks to those who give me a like, much appreciated, and those who comment. I occasionally get a couple of dislikes, which a bit strange really. If people don't like the video, then don't watch it basically, and why you have to put a dislike on there. But there we go, we try our best, us guys who do this filming. We try to please people, so it's always a little bit of a disappointment when someone says they don't like it, but there we go, can't please everyone. Anyway, so that's it. Till the next time, I say goodbye for now and cheers.